Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today in this lecture, we would discuss a very beautiful story named The Midnight Visitor, written by Robert Arthur Jr. Robert Arthur Jr. was an American writer. He particularly wrote mysterious stories. That means the story that are quite confusing and strange. And thus he became a very renowned writer in the arena of American literature. The story The Midnight Visitor centers around mystery and quiet strangeness. The writer very beautifully constructed the plot of the story. The plot of the entire story is very rich in creating confusion and mystery in the sense of the reader. Here the story starts suddenly. It does not start from an appropriate point. Suddenly it starts. There is no flashback. If we read the characters of the story, we will feel only confused and strangeness. And the language of the story is a little bit difficult for very lower standard students like you. And that's why you have to go through the text again and again. Here in the story, we find three characters: Osable, Fowler, and Max. Osable is the real hero, that is, he is the protagonist of the story. He is a secret agent. However, he was a quite strange figure. As a secret agent actually means a person or personnel appointed by government to give information on any enemy or on any illegal commodities. Generally, the spies are very prompt looking, very smart looking. They are dressed well. Their way of speaking is very different. But our hero, Osable, is quite strange and awkward figure. He does not possess the characteristics in general a secret agent possesses. We will feel more confused and strange if we read his physical fitness, his dress code, his behavior, his way of speaking. Everything is awkward. His physical fitness, he was very fat and very careless figure. His dress always remained dark. His behavior was awkward. That means his way of speaking was not pleasant. Moving next character, we find Max. Max is also a secret agent. There was no good relationship between Max and Osable. Max was a very thin figure whose face was similar to that of a fox. Next character is Fowler. He is the midnight visitor. He is quite strange. Yes, he was a quite strange visitor, a visitor who paid visit at midnight. That means he did not have any kind of common sense. However, he was a writer. He wrote particularly romantic stories. He was in possession of writing a book based on secret agents, and that is why he needed some conceptions and ideas to compose his book. In search of that, he heard about a spy named Osable, and thereby he came to the French music hall to meet Osable. Here actually the story starts in French music hall where Fowler met for the first time Osable, and there for the time being, for a long hour, sorry, not for the time being, for a long hour they had a conversation between them. Then gradually they move to Osibel's home and the story ends there. See, the writing style of the story is quite confusing. The story starts with the description of secret agent by the Fowler. Oswald did not fit any description of a secret agent Fowler had ever read. It means, as per the knowledge of Fowler, Fowler did not find any symptomatic character, any feature in Oswald as a secret agent. He is quite different from secret agent. He didn't possess any sort of characteristic in general a secret agent possesses. Now we'd read about the condition of his room. Following him down the musty corridor. Musty actually means dirty. Musty means dirty. Following him down a musty corridor of the gloomy means dark, gloomy French hotel where Oswald had a room. Fowler felt let down. Fowler felt let down meant tired. It was a small room on the sixth and top floor and scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. Scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. That means the room where Oswald lived, the condition of it was very horrible. It did not suit for a romantic adventure. The terminology romantic can be described in multiple ways, but here romantic in reference to the text, the terminology romantic here means the style, the fashionable room. That means the condition of the Oswald's room was not up to the mark. The condition of the room did not suit for Oswald as a secret agent. Oswald was for one thing fat, very fat, and there was his accent. It means he was very fat in his figure and his accent was also very fat. That means while he spoke, his, his tune was very loud, not pleasant. Though he spoke French and German passably, passably means somehow. Passably means somehow. He had never altogether lost the American accent he had brought to Paris from Boston 20 years ago. That means he could not speak French and German fluently. Though he had been living for the last 20 years in French, he could not speak French and German fluently. While he spoke in French and German, he had mixed his American accent and that he had learned from Boston. Boston is a popular city in United States of America. You were disappointed. Now we would listen the conversation that is took place between Oswald and Fowler. Here particularly Oswald talked to Fowler while he understood the feeling of frustration of Fowler. Now he was talking to Fowler and Fowler as a mute listener only listening to the voice of Oswald. You were disappointed. It means you were frustrated. Oswald said wheezily. Wheezily means speaking something with a release of air. You were told that I was a secret agent, a spy dealing in espionage and romantic. You heard me a secret agent, a man who dealt in espionage. Espionage means the act or the action of a spy. Espionage means action of a spy. You heard me a spy who dealt in espionage, and that is why you were with me to collect material for writing your book. See, every line is written very indirectly, in a very subtle ways. We have to read the text. Otherwise, it would be quite difficult for you, the student, to understand. You wish to meet me. You wanted to meet me because you are a writer. It means you are going to write something, and that is why today that is why you met me. You envision mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistol, drag in the wine. You might have imagined mysterious figures. You might have heard the sound of pistol or gun. That means since the writer, since Fowler was in possession of writing a book on secret agent, that is why he might had imagined about something that is related to espionage. Instead, you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall. Here the story actually starts in a French music hall. Instead, you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who, instead of having messages slipped into his hand by dark-eyed beauties, gets only a prosaic telephone call, making an appointment in his room. You have been bored. Now, while he understood the feeling of frustration of Fowler well, he very clearly, very frankly talked to Fowler. Fowler, I mean, you were frustrated. You had spent a very dull evening. Dull means fruitless. A very fruitless evening with a person who was quite flat and sloppy. Sloppy means careless. Instead of having messages Instead of his messages slip into his hand by dark-eyed beauties, gets only a prosaic telephone call, making an appointment in his room. You spent a very dull evening with a man who was busy in getting telephone for the from the dark-eyed beauties. Here, dark-eyed beauties mean the girl. That means while Fowler and Osable were in the French music hall, Osable was busy in his world, in his different world. Rather giving any preference to Fowler, Osable was busy only receiving phone from the dark-eyed beauties mean girls. Instead of taking Fowler to his room, instead of appointing Fowler to his room, he was busy on telephone that came from dark-eyed beauties. The fat man chuckled meant smile, chuckled to himself as he unlocked the door of his room and stood aside to let his frustrated guest enter. Now, they moved from French music hall towards the room of Osable. Osable unlocked the door of his room and he let his tired, frustrated friend to enter his room. You were disillusioned. I mean, you were confused. You were tired. Osable told him, but take care. My young friend, presently you will see a paper, a quite important paper. He asked that means you might have been frustrated, but take be cheerful. Now you will get a very important paper, and that is quite influential. Next, which several men and women have risked their lives, come to me someday soon. That paper may well affect the course of history. In that thought is drama, is there not? Now he was just trying to console Fowler's frustration. He was telling Fowler, now you would get a very important paper for which several men and women have risked their lives, for which several men and women did not care for their life. Come to me now. Now it is coming to me. Wait for a moment. Someday soon that paper may well affect the course of history. This paper may change or might change the entire course of history. In that what is drama? Is there not? It seems it is a drama. It is a drama, and I am playing the drama. Is there not? But wait for a moment, an important paper was coming that would might change the course of history. Though though it was a drama listening, it seemed it was a drama. As he spoke, Osable closed the door behind whom, then he switched on the light. As they entered the room, Osable closed the door. When he switched on the light, as the light came on, Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. That means when the light came on, Fowler felt a sense of pleasure. He was excited to get enter the room after the light came on because the entire evening he had spent in a very fruitless manner with Osable in French music hall. While he got entry in the room of Osable, he felt a sense of pleasure. He was excited. For halfway across the room, a small automatic pistol in his hand stood a man. But however, there was another strange thing happened. Halfway across the room, a small automatic pistol in his hand stood a man. When the light came on, they suddenly saw standing, a man standing with a pistol. Osable blinked a few times. Osable closed and opened his eyes for the time being. Max, he wheezed. He told Max, you gave me quite a start. I thought you were in Berlin. You gave me quite a start. That means you surprised me. I thought you were in Berlin. Berlin is capital of Germany. What are you doing here in my room? What are you doing in my room? I thought of you were in Berlin. But seeing Max with a pistol in his room, he was surprised. In the next portion of the chapter, we would see how Osable managed to get out the spy agent named Max with the utilization of his presence of mind.